Hello, everybody. How you doing? Uh, this recording is scheduled, the lesson is scheduled for May the 9th, because, we have our classes on Mondays. So this will be scheduled for May the 9th. Hopefully you didn't have too difficult of a time on the midterm last week. And you found it, more or less. I mean, if you just go over the material, you'll find the answers. But you have to invest time to do it, right? Okay. So this week is going to be how clean is clean on the written concentration. And then on the conversation, we're going to go to how to get started with banking terms. Okay. All right. So let me proceed. All right. Go to the material. Okay. So I'll minimize myself first. Come here. No hiding. Okay. That's done. Base is gone. You go start slideshow. And from the beginning. Okay, let me click to get current. Okay. All right, developing communication skills. If you forgot the week of the name of the class. So we're a week after the midterm. So if you see this will tell you the week corresponding. But again, the important part is this is the lesson for May the 9th. Okay, let us continue. All right. How clean is clean? Hopefully it's clean enough, right? I guess that's the bottom line. We're not passing any type of inspection, but it's clean enough to be good. So as I start, cleanliness is considered a virtue. But just what does it mean to be clean? So a virtue is going back to the Bible. I think the phrase is what you'll hear in church. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So God loves clean people, I guess. I mean, he'll take you if you're dirty, but then once you're in the church, I guess they want you to be clean. All right, and it is a virtue, which is something very valuable, something that people respect. Virtues are like not stealing, doing bad things. Okay. Here we go. As most of us have had the unpleasant, which means uncomfortable, or not enjoyable occasion to discover, one's person definition can be quite different from another. So that means what some people consider clean, maybe someone else or another culture would consider it not to be clean. Varies. During the European Renaissance, a lot of rich, high-level aristocracy felt it wasn't important to bathe, and instead just for a long time put a lot of perfumes on their body. But once the perfume wore off, I guess the smell was pretty strong, So people in different cultures have different ideas about the levels. Okay, from Istanbul, which is in Turkey, if you don't know your geography, to Indianapolis, which is in the Midwest in the United States, people have their own ways of keeping clean and their own reasons for doing so. Okay. In the middle, cleanliness has had a long and varied history with mixed reviews. Sometimes it's popular, like I said, in the medieval Europe, it was not for the kings and queens and the royalty. And sometimes it's not, like I said. I think native people, American people, always it was high level. They would go into the rivers and lakes to bathe on a daily basis. But the early explorers, especially the people on ships, didn't bathe for months, since it took months to get to America from Europe. So just imagine months and months without any type of bathing. And no perfume either. So You might have a good, interesting smell working there. You know, might be attractive to some people. Throughout the ages, which means through all time, personal cleanliness has been greatly influenced by religion, culture, and technology. I think it's the Islamic religion where you're supposed to take off your shoes and wash your hands and feet before you go into the mosque. So it's important there also. Moreover, bathing has served many functions in addition to hygiene. I'm guessing some folks don't know hygiene. I mean, I know some American people that don't know this word, hygiene. So hygiene is like a personal level of cleanliness that will, how can I say this? I guess keep you from getting some type of sickness or infection. You know, like if you get some cuts on your body and you never wash them or treat them with any type of medicine and you just roll around and get dirty, you'll probably get infected in those cuts, okay? Baths are also places for social gathering, mental and physical relaxation, and medicinal treatment. Archaeological evidence suggests that bathing is as old as the first civilization. So you'll see, if you see wall paintings of ancient Roman, from the Roman period, see, and that was way before medieval Europe. Bathing was very important. So you see they had a lot of Roman baths. So that's why it says here, during some times or epochs, the bathing is important. And other times, you would think it would be the opposite. You would think going back so far as the Roman Empire that it wasn't then, and then a couple of 100 years later, you know, or more than a couple of 100 years, people are more advanced and the bathing is important, except it was the reverse. Who can understand human nature completely, right? Soap-like material has been found in clay jars of Babylonian origin, so in ancient Babylon, dating back to about 2800 BCE, before Christ. Wow, how old is that? One of the first bathtubs came from Minoan Crete, which is now Crete in Greece. And the pretty sophisticated plumbing system of clay pipes, not metal, is known to have existed in the great palace of King Minos, built in 1700 BCE. Wow. I don't know how they, well, I guess if you have clay pots that can endure high temperatures for cooking, I guess clay pipes can withstand hot water for bathing. I'm not a plumber, so. The ancient Egyptians didn't have such plumbing expertise, but are known to have had a positive attitude towards hygiene. So it's saying that the Egyptians also were very positive about keeping clean. They washed with soapy material made of animal and vegetable oils and salts and sat in a shallow kind of bath while attendants poured water over them. Okay, so there you go. Also an important step. The Greeks prized cleanliness, which means it was very, very high on their level of importance. Although they didn't use soap. If they didn't use soap, what did they use? Ketchup, mustard, kimchi? What did they use? Instead, they rubbed oil and ashes on their body. So ashes from burnt paper, scrubbed with blocks of rocks or sand. Oh, that might be rough. And scraped themselves clean with a curved metal instrument. That might be painful. It's kind of like saying you're shaving your body. A dip in the water, which means a quick jump in the water, and anointment with olive oil followed. So you shaved your body with this curved metal instrument, and then you poured olive oil all over your body. Hopefully they didn't put you in a frying pan after that and cook you up with some vegetables. But That was the procedure. They were no doubt clean, but how would they smell if we followed them down the street today? They might smell like some good Italian food with all that olive oil. Yeah. There were public Grecian baths as well as private ones. Okay. But they didn't serve the social purpose of the Roman baths. Okay, I wonder why that is. It seems that no one in history has indulged or took advantage of bathing the way the Romans did. Nearly a dozen large and magnificent public bathhouses dotted the city. Wow. That's even more than like you get these bathhouses like in Japan and Korea. It's unbelievable. And hundreds of private, let's say citizens, right? Baths were found in homes. Okay, so even homes had baths at that time. Emperor Caracalla's bath could accommodate 1,600 bathers at a time. You imagine that? I'm going to have 1,600 people come over and take a bath in my house. Well, when you're the emperor, you live in a palace. Emperor Diocletian entertained crowds of more than 3,000 in the marble splendor of his bath, finished in 305 CE. Apparently, the Romans had lots of time on their hands because bathing was not just an exercise, it was an event. So they're telling you it was something that took, let's say like a modern American guy's bachelor's, you might take a shower and they want to do it as quickly as possible. But for the Romans, you take a bath, I guess, for many, many hours and you socialize with other people. First, a bather entered a warm room to sweat and to engage in lengthy conversations. So you're like in a sauna first, or hot bath, or hot box. Fine oils and sand were used to cleanse the body. Next came a hot room where the bather would be treated to even more sweating, splashing with water, more oils and scraping, and yet more talk. So think about it. In this class, what would you guys think if, well, our classmates, we have to go and do these baths together because we're Romans, we're not LA people. So I don't know if people would want to do that now. Finally, the Romans concluded the process by plunging or diving into cool and refreshing pool. In the early years of the baths, men and women had separate areas, but eventually the sexes mixed and the baths lost their virtuous purpose. Oh dear. So what this kind of fuzzy English is telling you is that originally for a long time, men bathed in the men's area and women bathed in the women's area. Why it stopped does not say, but eventually they were able to bathe together. And I guess a lot of people started doing things besides bathing. So the virtues that I talked about earlier were gone. Oh dear. So corrupt were Roman society and its baths that the fathers of early Christian church discouraged bathing. So the early Christian church, which started in the Roman society, they said people are doing bad things in the baths. So if you want to stay pure as a Christian, we discourage taking baths. Okay, don't do it. Not those public baths. The hygienic practices of the Greeks and Romans were repressed or held back to such an extent that Europe during the Middle Ages had been said to have gone 1,000 years without a bath. So like I told you, medieval or the Middle Ages in Europe, baths were not that common or that popular. So they have a saying that during those times, Europe went 1,000 years without a bath. Oh my God. Nice smells. Queen Isabella of Castile, which was in Spain, boasted or bragged that she had only bathed twice in her life, once at birth and before her marriage. So after her marriage, no more bathing. I wonder if her husband enjoyed her unbathed smell as the years went by. Interesting. Again, some time frames it's important, some time frames it wasn't. Religion wasn't the only reason why Europeans didn't bathe. Although the royal and wealthy sometimes indulged or took advantage, commoners or regular people found bathing virtually impossible. For regular folks, it was almost impossible to take a bath. Why was that? What are the reasons? Okay, with no running water, so your home didn't have running water. The rivers were polluted, so you couldn't be like the American Indians here and go in the river. And soap taxed as a luxury item. So I'm guessing if I could equivocate that to the present time, who knows? Maybe, as we go to the store, I mean, you could go to the 99-cent store and buy a 99-cent bar of soap. So maybe in the regular store, it's like $2-3. Luxury item. So maybe a bar of soap was $20. But who's going to spend $20 on soap? The ordinary citizen had little opportunity to bathe. Oh, that's not good. As a result, people lived in filth. So just to let you know, if we go down to the bottom, filth says very dirty conditions. Filth, when you say something is filthy, there is a level of dirty. This is beyond dirty. So people lived in filth. Clothing was infested with vermin, which means rats. So I guess they just piled up dirty clothes in the corner of their house, some corner, and then rats got in there. So, and disease was rampant, which means disease was everywhere because when you have dirty areas with dirty clothes or food, it attracts rats, and unfortunately, rats bring disease. So just to let you know, nowadays where you can rent an apartment or whatever, and there's always a bath in there. When you see these homeless villages, when they first started coming up, we'll keep it to LA, okay? In LA. And of course, they got too crowded and what have you, and they'd send the police in there, and maybe they were doing crime. So as they were arresting people, they found that in that area where they were, the camp was full of dirty clothes, their old foods. So it brought cockroaches and rats, and then they also urinated or did BP, and then number 2 there, and didn't clean it. So it was full of the disease hepatitis. So the early police were going in there, giving tickets, arresting people, and they got hepatitis. So now if you see an encampment and they're going to clean it, they have to send in professional people with the white toxic suits. So nothing has changed. That's how Europe was then. And unfortunately, we've, at least the government has let people be on the streets, and the same conditions bring the same cockroaches, rats, and disease. Very sad. Okay. So it says here, early Americans, being of European origin, brought their dirty habits with them. By the 1800s, however, both Europeans and Americans were reforming their ways. So again, did we learn anything from history? As it became known that filth led to disease, governments began to improve sanitation standards. Wash houses were built, and bathing became a good thing again. In the United States, tubs, water heaters, and good indoor plumbing put bathing within the reach of ordinary citizens. They liked it so much that today the average American claims to shower or bathe more than 7 times a week. I don't know if that's true, but just imagine when it gets to be hot summer, which is going to be close. We're already in May here in LA. Just wait till June hits, and then as it goes through, August is the hottest month. Some people will be taking more than 1 shower a day, 2 or 3. Especially, let's say their air conditioning went out. Okay. In America, clean means not only free of dirt, okay, but odor as well. Odor means smell, or rather human odors, which I guess they're talking about, like the smell under your armpits, because millions of dollars are spent each year on Make sure my book is matching up here. Okay, good deal. Powders and perfumes that cover up any natural smells that might slip by. I think you're also missing the spray. There's also spray cans where people spray under their armpits, but I think the environmental people are trying to get those things banned, that they say, oh, the spray adds to the possibility of air pollution. So they might be gone soon, right? And people will just have to use powders, perfumes. Or they're not mentioning sticks either, like a stick, deodorant stick. As any deodorant ad will tell you, you to have body odor, which the slang term is BO, is a grave social offense. So again, if someone says, "Man, you have BO," it means that you smell, you have a bad body smell. So, yeah. So now you learn some slang there, right? Someone says, "Hey, you got BO." The guy says, "BO? Is that bacon and orange juice?" Well, I don't have bacon and orange juice. No, that's not what he's saying. So now we go. In many Middle Eastern countries, cleanliness has religious overtones that link spiritual and physical purification. The Jewish people have many religious laws relating to hygiene. There's that word again, hygiene. Someone might tell you or ask you, do you practice good hygiene? And you say, oh, well, I really don't play sports. No, that's not what he's asking you, right? It's like, do you take a lot of baths? Both personal and in the preparation of food. Yes. Muslims too live by some very strict rules related to cleanliness. For example, they are required to wash certain parts of their body, such as their feet and hands, before they pray, like I said earlier. Since the time of Muhammad, sweat baths or hammams have been recommended. They serve not only as places for cleansing, but also as retreats and opportunities for socializing. So again, those places too, people will talk. If you're there in the bath for a long period of time and you go with your buddy, you're like, hey, how are the Rams doing? Well, they won the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, the Crusaders, which were the Christian Crusaders hundreds of years ago, medieval times, who enjoyed hammams because they were overseas, brought the idea of the public bath back to Europe with them and introduced the use of thermal baths as therapy for a variety of ills. So it's like this was lost after the Roman time and then had to be brought back because of European experience with Middle Eastern people. These trends come and go. Okay. For many Middle Easterners, baths are a sort of ritual, a major affair that takes longer than an hour. Bathing begins with a steam, followed by rubbing the body with a hard towel, then soaping and rinsing. We usually want to lie down after a bath since it takes so long and is so exhausting. They indulge or really take advantage in these baths once a week. Asian cultures are very strict and ritualistic about their cleanliness. Japanese in particular are known for their personal hygiene, which extends from removing their shoes and putting on special slippers before entering any house or building to extensive washing before meals. I don't know if you guys understand. I know I have Japanese students in my class and Korean students who like to take advantage of sauna, right? Or steam bath. But foolish American people who are not familiar with these two customs, they make the big mistake. Like, let's say you're supposed to go into the hot water and in the bath, like in Tokyo. Japanese people know they take a shower first and clean their body so that they're clean when they go in the common hot water area with everybody else. Americans don't do this and instead take their dirty, filthy, smelly body into the hot water area first. And as they say, pollute the water. They have to be really taught to get clean first and then enjoy the hot properties of the water. Oh, American folks, what can I say? It is logical to conclude that cleanliness has many different meanings and is judged by a variety of standards. Clean means pure, a religious sense, as well as clean up body. For some, it means being squeaky clean. I guess they touch your body, squeak. So you can do that with a floor or a table as you wash it and then clean it. And then when you polish it dry with the polish, you can run your finger across the floor of the table and you can hear a squeaking sound. I don't think you can get that with a human body, but they're hoping that that's a possibility. Right? And smelling, you can come up smelling like roses. For others, a more natural state is acceptable, whether it means washing one's hands and face or head to toe scrubbing. Cleanliness is a cultural practice with enough stories, emotions behind it to make a real soap opera. So that's a joke. They're like, what do you mean soap opera? I have to give you a little history here about with American culture. Okay, I guess it was the 50s where TVs, not everybody, I understand, but a lot of people were able to get TVs for the first time in the 1950s. And at that time, the American culture was that the men worked and the wives, so the husband worked, he's at the factory, and the wife stayed home to probably raise children because it was a big idea. You had to have a family. You don't get married not to have kids, right? Different than now. So mothers kind of developed a routine where I guess they would cook breakfast for the husband and the kids. And the husband goes to work and the wife has to clean the table and wash the dishes. And then in the afternoon, she has to wash the clothes. So the clothes can be washing in the washing machine, but then what is she doing? She wants to enjoy something. So, because she doesn't have to cook till later around, the 6 o'clock dinner time when the husband comes home or the kids have come home. So they made these, what Koreans call dramas, Japanese people call dramas, maybe Thai people. And they were run, they started like 12 in the afternoon and they played until like 4. And then the news started after that. So that was called the soap opera time when they had these dramas. And that's when the mothers usually were washing the clothes. So they're being funny here, right? With this, oh, it's a real soap opera, okay? So again, further, like I said, the squeaky clean here, if you look on the bottom, means extremely clean. And the Crusaders, again, I said the Christians who went to the medieval times in the Middle East. They went on military expeditions undertaken by Christians in the 11th, 12th, and 13th centuries to win the Holy Land from the Muslims. So that's where they discovered the Middle Eastern folks with the hot bath. Okay. So that concludes the first, and the major reading of the day. We'll get into the communication part later. Right? So next, there's the questions. So let me make sure we understand the questions so that we can get them all correct. Students don't say, teacher, I don't understand that question. What are you talking about? Is it mustard or ketchup you put in a hot dog? Then somebody says, you put mayonnaise on a hot dog. When I was growing up, if somebody put mayonnaise on a hot dog, they would get shot. Okay, so I don't know. Mustard or ketchup, that's it. So here we go. It says, select a letter of the answer that is closest in meaning to the bold word. So again, I'm going to ask you, please. Some people have not listened to me. I don't know if they just maybe my voice scares them. So they turn off my voice and they just read the story like we just read, how clean is clean. And so they don't hear me talk and tell them that I don't want the answers to come back like 1A, 2B, 3C, 4. No, need to practice your English. You need to make a connection between the two things. If you just put the letters, you're not really making that connection. And this is for your benefit and your vocabulary improvement. So, I would prefer it would say one, and then you'd write the sentence, a dip in the water, and anointment with olive oil followed. And then you can put a line here, and then write the answer, the one that you choose, right? That's much better than I know you're really trying to learn here instead of just 1A, 2C, 4. I mean, you can even not even pay attention and just throw the letters up there, right? All right, so here we go. One, a dip in the water, which means a quick, as they say, stick your toe in the water, and anointment with olive oil followed. Anointments. Babies get anointed. Catholic Church, they bring them there and they just, put a little bit of oil on them. Okay, 2, no one in history indulged in bathing the way the Romans did. So which word or which one you're going to write in here that means the closest to indulged in? Next, the baths lost their virtuous purpose, so choose the one here that is the closest to virtuous. Okay. 4, the hygienic practices of the Greeks and Romans was repressed, so which word choice here will make the meaning of repressed. Queen Isabella boasted that she had bathed only twice in her life, so which is the one that's closer to that? I've had some students say, I don't like toast and butter. I say, it didn't say toasted, which I'll give you some slang term for young people. Toasted means if you say, oh man, I'm toasted, means you're high on marijuana, okay? So please don't bring the funny stuff here. Just, you know what this means? You'll have the answer. Teacher, I was toasted. Okay. 6, the clothing of commoners was often infested with what? Vermin? Okay, what does infested mean? Does that mean I have all my money invested in gold? Is that what that means? Yes, I am fully infested. 7, disease was rampant. I've had people answer this question and say, oh, you mean Rampart Boulevard? There's a Tommy's Chili Burger, or then there's the Rampart Police Station. No. In America, body odor is a grave social offense. So I've had people say, grave? Isn't that where they bury you? So if you smell bad, you're going to die? Like, no. 9, in Middle Eastern countries, cleanliness has religious overtones. So what the heck here can mean overtones? Right? 10, sweat baths also served as retreats. So what the word here is the closest to retreat? Right? Does that mean I just keep on walking backwards, so I retreat from the sweat bath? No. Okay, next we're going to go to the famous skimming and scamming. Oh, did I say scamming? Scamming is when you cheat people out of money. No, skimming and scanning. Like when the policeman pulls you over, you give him your ID, your driver's license, and he looks at it and he enters it on the computer and he says, I scanned your driving record. And it says, Young Phil Choi, you owe money for 22 speeding tickets, so we're going to have to arrest you. All right, so skimming and scanning. All right. Number 1, according to the reading, what 3 things have influenced the bathing habits of people over the centuries? So, if you only tell me one thing, you're not going to get complete points. And these kinds of questions are good questions to have on which would not be the final, which is finished the midterm. Because you have to supply me with 3 things. A lot of people are just lazy. They only tell me one, right? But then I'll get some people that start looking into the Wikipedia and they give me like 10. You don't need to do that. It said 3, give me 3. Again, if you give me 1 or 2, you won't get as many points as a person that gives me 3. And if you give me 10, I'm not giving you extra points for that, right? So what are the three things that have influenced the bathing habits of people over the century? So like I said, that looks like a very high possibility question to come up on the final. So maybe put a little starry pool right there. Again, hopefully people are listening. They don't have the sound turned off. These are all extra hints to give you more points. Number 2, according to the reading, how are the Greeks different from the Egyptians in their bathing habits? Yeah, so you're gonna have to do a little explanation. The Egyptians did these things, not too many, just a few, and the Greeks did these things, and they won't be able to tell how they were different, you know. Well, the Greeks, they bathed with Greek salad dressing, and the Egyptians bathed with a soap made from hummus. Like, okay, all right, I can see, you know, how they're different there. But tell me a few, okay? 3, in the last sentence of the 3rd paragraph, so it means you'll have to go back to the reading and go 1, 2, 3 down. What does the word them refer to? So when you see them, you say, oh, so it'll, the hint, the answer's in the sentence before. You know, like if it's talking about the Young Peel and Alex Hong, the bad boys of University of the East, you know, and then it'll say them, so you know who they're talking about. What bathing rituals were part of the 3 stages of bathing in Roman baths? Again, a 3-stepper, right? What ritual? So the first ritual was you set the building on fire so that the water got really hot. You know, no, that would burn down the building. You know, so give me the 3 stages. 5. Why did the leaders of the early Christian church discourage bathing? So did they discourage it because they had some strange idea that cleanliness would cause you problems? What was the reasoning for brothers, sisters, please don't go to the public baths because you're gonna smell like delicious foods? What was the reason? 6. What 3 problems prevented commoners in Europe from taking baths? So if you remember, the regular folks, there were 3 big issues as to why it was very difficult for them to take a bath. So it could be like us, like what are the 3 problems that prevented your teacher from eating at Beverly Hills' most expensive restaurant? You know, 1 is I don't want to pay the $20 parking fee. 2, I don't want to pay money for water that comes free from 99.9% of the restaurants in LA. And number 3, I don't want to spend over $500 on small dishes of food, no matter how high level the people say the ingredients are or the taste is fantastic. So that I spend over $500 on these small foods, I'm still hungry, and then I just go to McDonald's afterward. Okay, those are my reasons, right? So here, what are the 3 problems that prevented commoners in Europe from taking baths? 7, what finally prompted or pushed Europeans and Americans to change their cleanliness habits? So I guess their cleanliness habits were not good. So what made them change? Right? If you keep on drinking and driving, maybe that will not change until you get arrested and lose your license and ability to drive and have to pay $10,000. That would definitely stop most people from drinking and driving. Okay, 8. What Muslim tradition influenced the introduction of therapeutic, which means like taking care of your body. Thermal baths in Europe, so healing qualities, not just a thing of, okay, well, the guy's clean, we shaved him and covered him in hot oils, but it actually helps his body. What is a tradition? 9, to what does the word people in the 9th paragraph, sentence 3 refer? So it's telling you, just count 9 paragraphs down, sentence 3, and you see the word people again. Whatever came before that, that's where you'll find your answer. Okay, when it's talking about the most violent people at the East, which is Pamela Titan, right? And maybe Ikogen, maybe Tugs, dangerous ladies. So you'll be able to find the answer. Okay, 10. What are 2 hygienic habits of the Japanese? Right? And again, I've had some silly folks do things like, and obviously they've never been to Japan or don't know Japanese people. So they'll say, oh, I think the Japanese rub their nude bodies with wasabi, and the hot wasabi burns all the dirtiness away. And then they jump in a bath of hot miso soup, and then that takes away the wasabi, and then now the Japanese people are clean. So I've had some crazy people tell me stuff like that. So please don't repeat that. All right, we're going to go on to our communication. Libro, which means book in Spanish. What do we got here? Yes. All right, let me get that book ready. Get rid of the first book. Right? Righty then. Here we go. So you see the title here. Ooh, money. Wow, I guess money's important. As they say, was it Pamela told me, Manila or whatever? Manila girls, they get a potential boyfriend, but they give them their one warning: no money, no honey. So the guys know where they stand. All right. So it says stash. Oh, actually it says road to riches, right? That's supposed to be a secret road that if you take this road, you'll become rich. But I don't know what road that is. I'm still looking for that. All right, this is stash the cash, which is a slang term meaning, hide your money somewhere. Stash the cash. And it says get started with banking. Okay, so here we go. Okay, you found a place to live and a job that will pay the bills, meaning rent, food, gas, maybe some enjoyment. As all the money comes rolling in, you'll need a safe place to save it. So that's the extra money that you have left over. A bank account is important for establishing a credit rating too. You also need an account if you want direct deposit from your employer. So some employers will only do direct deposit, so you do need some type of checking or savings account. It's easy to open a bank account, and the people at the bank will be happy to help. Of course they will. They'll be holding your money, right? They'll be getting your money. That's why I'll be happy to help you. Speaking to a representative at the bank is a good idea, just because there are so many types of accounts. Do you want to share a joint account with someone in your family, brother or sister, mother and father, husband or wife? You want a checking account so that you can pay for things by check? You want a savings account to put aside extra money? You can usually earn a little more interest with a CD, certificate of deposit. Oops, not supposed to give you an answer. Uh-oh. Which is short for certificate? Oh, doesn't matter. There it is, certificate of deposit. To open an account, you'll need to provide an ID. So either your California ID or your driver's license maybe a social, and proof of your address. You got that apartment just in time. I think some places will not accept a P.O. box now. It used to be like, let's say when I was a real young guy, 5 years ago, and I'm like kind of don't have a place yet. I'm struggling. So I'm gonna stay at one guy's house or apartment for a month and then switch to another guy's couch. I just open a P.O. box so I can get the mail, right? But I guess to open a checking account now or savings, they might say, you need a permanent address, young man. What is this vagabond, existence? So next, here's another time when you need to watch for hidden fees. Oh, they are so dangerous, the hidden fees. Some accounts may require you to maintain a minimum balance. So if you don't pay attention and it says you at least have to maintain $1,000 and then, you got bills or you have to pay something and you get a ticket and then all of a sudden your minimum balance is 700. You're like, I'm cool, man. I got 700. Well, the bank account that you opened said you needed to keep 1,000. So now they're going to charge you these fees that are going to eat through your money. If the funds in the account fall below a certain level, you may have to pay a monthly fee. Not good, sausagey. So again, before I proceed, again, these darkened words or blackened words, direct deposit, representative, checking account, joint account, aside, you need to supply the definitions for these words. Okay, I just have to keep on repeating that because some people will, well, you didn't say anything since I had the sound turned off and I couldn't hear what you were saying. So I didn't know. Okay. So, but again, here you've got a free one, certificate of deposit, right? Otherwise, people go, CD, is that celery and dill? Oh, this is not a cooking class. Okay, so all these things, maintain a minimum balance, fees, and funds. Yeah, they don't really tell you at the bank. You don't have enough money, you don't have sufficient amount of funds. And you say, I don't have any money, so I'm not having any fun at the present time. Oh, my trouble with banks and my students' troubles. Oh boy, be careful. I know if they're still doing it, again, because I have you guys from all over, and some of you guys live in K-Town, but be careful. So I'm just not talking to Koreans now. Be careful of the Korean banks. Maybe the Japanese banks do the same. I don't know. There's not as many Japanese banks before. Anyway, so there's a lot of Korean banks. They have a tricky scheme because students that have been here a while, they struggle to get a credit card. So some of these banks will offer you a credit card, but they don't put the rules. They put the rules in really small writing and don't go over it with you and say, well, you're supposed to read the document. It's not my fault. And then things have happened where my students, it's kind of like going below the minimum. And they were using their credit and then they didn't, they paid a rent check late or something. And there was a penalty. And the guy says, well, that's okay because, my bank's a good bank or whatever. And then the bank has the right to panic and then say, well, we don't have confidence in this guy, which is really, to me, illegal, but they get away with it. So the thing is, if you miss your credit card payment from the bank, so the bank says, oh my God, he missed his $30 payment in May. We don't like that. And then he owes, $1,000 on his credit card. So since it's connected and you didn't find out the exact terms, they took the last part of your $1,000 of your checking account, which the credit card is connected to, and just paid off your credit card. The whole balance instead of the monthly fee because you paid one time late. And then they canceled it. So you don't know that you now have no money in your checking account and then you're writing a check for your utilities or your rent. And then your manager says your check bounced. You didn't actually have money to pay the rent or the utilities. So be careful of those combos, checking account connected to a credit card. And I've only heard about these issues with the Korean banks, unfortunately, not the American ones like PFA. They have different problems with the American ones. Okay. Next though, some free checking accounts can be very expensive. Listen to that again, tricky English. Oh, it's free checking. Most banks offer free use of their ATMs, but be careful of the double whammy. So you'll have to look what that is. I'm telling you right now, it's not a good thing. If you use a different bank's ATM, that bank may charge a fee and your bank may charge another fee. So you might get hit twice. So in other words, we'll keep it simple. Let's say you've got a Bank of America account and you go out partying with your buddies. And in this area where you're partying, there's no B of A around, but there's a Citibank. So it takes your ATM card and you're like, great, but Citibank charged you an extra fee because you're not using a Citibank card, you're using a Bank of America card. And then you find out that B of A is going to charge you. You're like, I didn't even go to a B of A ATM, but they can do it because they say, our contract with Young Pil Choi is that he only uses a B of A. So now you'll get another charge from B of A for using a Citi. So try to only use them at your banks. Some guys say, well, I'm at 7-Eleven. What can I do? You know, are you doing the math with me? That's 2 fees. You don't want to do that. If your account is overdrawn, you guessed it, a fee. And that's another thing. I guess I'll give you the answer. You know what it means. If your account's overdrawn, it has no money in it. Oh my God, they'll charge you a fee for that too. Probably both banks. Now you got 4 fees. Please be careful. If you bounce a check, say it with me, a fee. Yes, maybe $25. I guess there's a reason banks have enough money to name so many sports arenas. See, you know, all these sports arenas with the name of the banks, because all the fees they charge you once you give them the power to hold your money, instead of like my grandmother who kept her money inside the mattress. Okay, there was no fees there. The convenience of having a banking account makes it worthwhile to learn about all the options. Most bank cards can be used at stores, so you don't have to carry cash. And you can even get cash back from your purchase. I'm not sure if all cards allow you to do that. Many banks have drive-through banking, so you don't even have to get out of your car. I heard some garbage. I think the bank is gone now, but they were charging you to go through the drive-through, which makes no sense. It's the same thing as going to the ATM, but there was an extra fee. And then that same bank even did a thing like, well, I called the bank to ask for help and I got charged for calling to help me. So please check all the rules at your banks. Drive through the bank and then head to the burger drive-through for lunch. Lots of Americans love online banking, so you can have fun paying those bills 24/7, even in your PJs. So again, I think we actually had this word before, maybe week 1. These blackened words, look them up and give me the meaning. That's your vocabulary word list for this week. Dialogue 1, track 23. Leah, I finally did it. I opened the bank account yesterday. Alan, it's about time. Didn't you hate carrying all that cash around? Leah says, yeah, it was a hassle. And I want to establish a credit rating too. Besides, with all the ATMs around, it's easy to get cash if I want some. So what does hassle mean? Alan, was it easy to open an account? It sure was. I guess they're happy to get my money. Haha. Just make sure you have ID with you and proof of residence. There it is, proof of residence. Not, where do you live, son? Alan, were the people nice? Yeah, they were pretty friendly. I feel very comfortable asking them questions until you go back to the same people at the bank when you have a problem. They're like, sir, we don't understand what's going on here. Alan, so now that you have a bank account, I guess you'll be buying a new car. Leah, don't get carried away. I'll be happy if I can pay the electric bill. Ooh, sounds tough. Really tough. You know, talking about, yeah, I'm Sylvester Stallone. Okay, here we go into the next one, making the big bucks. Big bucks because getting rich, okay? Place to live, check. New job, check. And now for the best part, the paycheck. The long lines at the bank's drive-through will tell you that Friday is the traditional payday. For some places, it's Thursday. That's why you'll see Thursday also crazy. But you can't outsmart the people in line. Most companies offer direct deposit of paychecks. This means that your money is automatically transferred into your bank account on payday. Direct deposit has many advantages, but the best one is that you don't have to wait in line to cash your check. Yay! I'm an old timer, so I like that feeling of getting the cash in my hand and looking at the receipt right away. That's just me. You've probably noticed that Americans don't like to wait. No, they don't. It also gives you extra time for yourself. You don't have to add a trip to the bank to your list of errands. Now that you're bringing home the bacon, okay, what does that mean? Please look that up. It's a slang term. It doesn't mean you go to the store and buy 20 pounds of bacon. I can tell you that. You know that American money takes some getting used to. The bills look very similar in size and color. The change comes in a lot of denominations. We're not talking about church denominations here, okay? You also need to learn that many common slang words that refer to money, moolah, oh, that's quite old. Maybe my father's time. Dough, that's still used sometimes. Not bread though. Bread. I haven't heard bread in a while. That was very popular when I was in high school. Cabbage, I have not heard that. Cabbage, maybe that's an East Coast thing. And lettuce are not referring to a meal. Again, these might be East Coast terms. But to the money that buys the meal, right? The slang descriptions of money may leave you thinking you are learning a third language. $1 bills are often called singles. And I've been to the bank and I have 5 in singles and 5 in 5s, 2 in 10s and 3 in 20s. Occasionally, a $5 bill is called a fin. That's really old. I haven't heard that in years. And a $10 bill is a 10 spot. That's pretty easy to understand. Some young people hear the term fin and they say, am I going to the fish market? The real fun, however, comes with the big bills. A C note is a $100 bill. So they give you the definition right there. Let me have about 5 C notes, sir. The guy starts playing his guitar. We'd like several of those, please. See a little happy face, please. Be kind. Where's that happy face? Okay. Although some money nicknames seem to make no sense, this one is logical. The Roman numeral for 100 is C. Okay, so there you go. American founding father Benjamin Franklin has made it into a slang word too. A $100 bill featuring Franklin's picture is called a Benjamin. It's all about the Benjamins. How are your math skills? 10 Benjamins equal a grand. We love those G's, and a grand is 1,000. That's a lot of smackers. That's an also old term I haven't heard since I was in high school. Smackers. Some people think that's talking about kissing. Oh, give me a smack. All right, they're talking about money. Okay, dialogue 2, track 24. It's Leah again. I really love my new job. It feels great to be bringing home the bacon and not the sausage or pancakes. Alan, no kidding. Payday is my favorite day. Too bad it only comes twice a month. Leah, don't you get paid every week? Alan, no, twice a month, what they call bi-weekly. In fact, I think most companies do payroll twice a month, usually on the 15th and the 30th. Leah, hey, I think you're right, but I have direct deposit. So all I care about is like that when I pay a bill, there's money in the bank. And I'm saving for a car, so I like that the money is already in the bank. Alan, wow, a car. Won't that cost a fortune? Leah, you're not kidding. I was looking at used cars, and even they cost at least $5,000. It's crazy. Well, now with the, at least in LA, the inflation we've had over the pandemic and the new presidency of Biden not doing anything about it, I understand used cars 5,000 would get you kind of like a low-level garbagey car that you could expect. You know, they probably have problems after 1 year, but now I understand that's like 10,000 now. Oh my gosh, in 10,000 you got a pretty good car for a few years, at least 3 years. So inflation, gotta hate it. Alan, speaking of crazy, I'm still trying to figure out the crazy change here. I know that 4 quarters equal $1, but did you ever notice that a nickel is bigger than a dime? Does that make sense to you? I never thought about that personally, that because a nickel was bigger, it should be of more value, but some people think about such things. Yeah. Now that you mention it, a penny is bigger than a dime too. Strange. Again, I never thought because a penny was copper in a completely different color than a silver dime. Alan, I learned an interesting fact the other day. Did you know it costs more to make a penny at the mint, which is where they manufacture the pennies, than it's worth? Crazy. So it costs more to make a penny than what a penny's worth. I know you guys won't believe this, but when I was a kid in, I guess, college, they still had penny candy. It eventually got moved up to 2 cents. But a lot of times you go to a restaurant like a Denny's, and there was these candies, and you gave them a penny and you got a candy. It's not possible anymore. I don't think there's even a nickel candy. No way. Or a quarter candy. Yeah, I guess it's fun to think about change, but I'm glad my paycheck is in big bills. Again, a personal preference, right? So, well, we are done. Wow, very interesting. Okay, so we've gone through that, past our time. Hit the stop share. There I am again. Okay, folks. So again, this lesson is for May the 9th, and we'll push on through this month, and then next month is summertime. So please enjoy your life and do what you need to do. And I shall talk to you next week. Goodbye. Thank you.